review of Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies. This is for episode 8, or At the High School Dance. That's literally the title. It starts with the word or. So anyway, this is another one that has a crap ton of things go on in it. So just so I can keep track of all of it, because it seems very crucial to probably the rest of the remainder of the show, the last 2 episodes, I've got the plot synopsis up on my phone to reference here. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but at least it'll be like bullet points to myself of what all went down going through it. So, the episode starts out with a news report of how teenagers are just like out of control with loose morals and rock music and just, it's the devil's music. They're losing their way. It's like they're in the handbasket on the highway to hell or whatever. You know, very pearl clutchy. It's every stereotype you ever heard about how the adults acted over rock and roll music back in the day. In reality, it was probably actually worse than that, but this was, time constraints. So anyway, Susan's mom is the head of the school PTA because of freaking course she is. And she's telling a local reporter how she strongly opposes this dance and everything it stands for. But the Pink Ladies think the change is necessary, so it's kind of a war of the worlds thing here. So the Pink Ladies join the dance committee meeting, and there's a whole face-off between Cynthia and Dot over the dress code, and Olivia is explaining how the goal is to make sure that the tickets are inexpensive and that there won't be a dress code so that it's accessible to everyone who wants to be at it. Which, she has a point. This is supposed to be fun for literally everybody. That was the whole point of this dance. So, Buddy is just absent from the whole thing, suspiciously enough, because he doesn't want to take sides, because of course he doesn't. So Susan's in charge, and she points out the fact that, well, she first agrees with the Pink Ladies, and then she says that she can speak on their behalf to the PTA because she speaks parent. Now, none of them want to trust her, because she's backstabbed them before, repeatedly, throughout the entire show. So why should they trust her now? But what other choice do they have, right? So Olivia then recalls the tale of the frog and the scorpion and how this relates to their current situation, and how you can't change your nature. And Jane is realizing it's tough to trust Susan, but at the same time, she realizes she does get a lot done, so it's probably better to have her on their side than against her. So, again, it is what it is. So, let's see here. While they're all trying to figure out what to do, Jane is trying to avoid both Buddy and Richie because they both asked her to the dance, and she doesn't know who to pick. She is conflicted, and Olivia's like, is there a third option? And she thinks about that, and she decides the third option is to just go with the Pink Ladies. But unbeknownst to her, the other 3 all end up with dates. She really wasn't banking on that happening. Oh god, but there was a nice little nod to Grease in that Cynthia was like, you should have them drag race for it. Honestly, I wish they had. Like, it would have actually maybe felt like Grease for half a second, but they didn't actually do it. There's one more thing in this episode that actually was like a nod to Grease, but we'll get there. We're not there yet. So, later at the Frosty Palace, Jane already made up her mind and breaks the news to the other 3 about how she's just gonna go with them, but this is where they break it to her that we kind of have dates. Hell of a time to tell us the plan. Oh god, but anyway, let's see here. What else happens? Trying to find it. There's a whole song and dance number about how Nancy has a crush on one of the T-Birds, on Potato to be exact. She tells Cynthia she has cancer, but not that cancer. But it's the big C, and it's the whole song about having a crush. But also in this song and dance number, I mean, Cynthia has her moment over her crush on the girl from drama class because, of course, it seems like these 2 are often in the same boat, just different breeds of this boat, of crushes that they feel like they can't actually act on. They want to, but they can't for whatever reason. And yeah. So anyway, outside, Richie spots Dot crying, and she confesses how she liked a boy and wanted to go to the dance with him, but he asked someone else. And Richie's like, yeah, same, basically. And points out that, well, since we're the last two losers in the school who haven't been picked, why don't we go together? Yeah. So, Susan delivers a presentation to the PTA, trying to make a case for why they should let the dance happen and allow it in these parameters and everything, as long as, you know, there's chaperones there to keep it from getting too rowdy, and then you'll have a nice news blurb for advertising the school saying how rock music actually keeps the kids from going rowdy. It's anti-rowdiness, actually, if they're well-behaved while it's going on. Think about the headlines. So initially they're on board with this, or at least the men are. Of course, her mom is not, especially after she sees her talking to Jane right after the presentation, and you can see the wheels turning in her head. Susan's freaking oblivious. She has no idea that everything's about to get sabotaged and she's gonna get blamed for it all. But anyway, Susan even invited the news to cover the whole dance. But let's see here. What all else? So it's the day of the dance. Everybody's all decked out and everything. Olivia, Jane, and Nancy are decorating the gym for this because they are all in. This is basically their baby. Let's see here. Olivia is about to... Wait, let me see. Jane and Nancy help her out while Susan volunteers to help Olivia hang decorations. Olivia is about to turn it down, but then spots Mr. Daniels and hurries off for a private chat. Okay, I remember where it is now. So he tells her how he just left his wife, or fiance, whichever it was that she was. I think it was fiance. Broke it to her mother and everything. So now we can be together, right? Which... major red flags. She's still a minor. You're still a teacher. What the actual crap, my dude? Like, what are you doing here? But for once, Olivia's grown up fine. She's like, sorry, I actually have a date. He's like, well, come after the dance. She's like, can't. I have a date. And splits, which, good for her. Unfortunately, Susan saw her in the classroom with him. It'll come back to bite her later. Yeah, anyway. So the cameras are rolling while everybody's in line to get into the dance. And this is where it turns out that the pink ladies are getting turned away at the door because, oh, you actually don't meet the dress code. Or no, it wasn't the dress code requirements. It was that anyone with permanent marks on their permanent record can't come in. Oh, really? And when was that rule made? Earlier today. And it's right around that time that they see Susan in the dance behind them, so they're blaming her. Even though she has no idea about any of this, had nothing to do with that part. But she is taking the blame. I think it's somewhere around here that Dot shows up, basically, like, a much shorter version of Sandy from Grease. Just, like, tell me about it stuff. Like, the whole line, it's all there. It's all there. It's the other nod to Grease, which, well played, but it just comes off as comical this time. But, yeah, suddenly, like, this girl who has been a joke the entire show, like, everyone thinks is hot, plus she showed up with booze, so, oh my god, like, who is this girl? But anyway, let's see here. But yeah, because they won't let them in, and they won't let the T-Birds in, and who knows who all else won't be able to get in, they decide, let's just move this dance in, especially since they won't even let the entertainment in, because supposedly even he breaks the code of conduct. So the people who did get in think this dance sucks. The people who couldn't get in are pissed off because they're the ones who put this together in the first place, and it was their brainchild, so they decide to move it to the Frosty Palace. And through word of mouth, they get everybody to basically up and take the decorations, the food and the drinks, and head on over to the Frosty Palace. They even get a hold of Johnny Vavoom. Yeah, it's not Buffoon, it's Vavoom. They actually had it on a banner. I saw it in print this time. My bad. But anyway, they get him there too. and the place is just hopping. But it's small, and they're trying to dance like they would in a gymnasium. And it's around this point that they realize, we don't have the room for this, everybody's running into everybody, what are we gonna do? And they, in that moment, invent hand jive. And somehow they're all perfectly synchronized and everything, and all know the dance, and all know the lyrics. Don't ask me how! Magic of musicals, basically. So that's the whole thing. They eventually end up outside by the end of the song, and then just all hell breaks loose. Like, rude. Anyway, sorry, air conditioner must have kicked in. But anywho, so, scrolling. Alright, so Susan shows up late to this. She was like the last one still at the old dance who came over. But because they all weren't allowed in there, they aren't gonna let her in here. Which starts a whole thing where Susan's insisting it wasn't her fault, and Jane thinks they should give her another chance and everything. Olivia's like, yeah, no, here, let me give you a laundry list of all of the things that she has done to us. No, we're done. Pick a side. Are you on her side or ours? Pick one. You can't even pick a boy, much less pick a side here. Maybe we're done. Fuck it, basically. It's a whole thing. Goodness. So that all's going on. At the same time, Buddy is drunk as a skunk, and he shoves a guy who was laughing at Susan and about to punch him in the face, and he accidentally elbows Dot in the nose. And she's breaking down while Wally and Hazel split because they do not think they belong here. They don't want to be seen here when the shit hits the fan, which, good for them. Let's see here. And Richie thinks he and Olivia should leave. She accuses him of being on Susan's side. Olivia burns more bridges by blurting out Jane kissed Buddy just 24 hours after breaking up with Richie. See, this part I am having to read verbatim because there's just so much crammed in like 2 minutes. Richie can't believe Buddy kissed Jane after stealing the election. Now it's Jane's turn to be surprised. Buddy confesses that his dad and the principal cheated and Jane was the actual winner. Buddy and Richie get into a fight that's been brewing all season, and it results in Dot taking another blow to the face. The shoving spreads through the crowd, and windows shatter. The cops show up, lights flashing. Everyone tries to escape the melee. Buddy and Richie continue the fight, finally making it out in the parking lot. The cops break them apart and drag both Buddy and Richie away. Let's see here. There's like a whole song and dance number between Wally and Hazel, which more or less unnoteworthy. Seems like a mashup of like 50s pop or like doo-wop with like Singing in the Rain, kind of. It was an odd choice. Back at the Frosty Palace, Jane volunteers to go to the police station with Olivia. Olivia blames her for everything, claiming she'd picked a side. This never would have happened. Nancy tries to calm down the situation, saying the Pink Ladies have to stick together. Olivia resigns from the Pink Ladies, storms off. Let's see here. Cynthia returns home while Nancy's left on her own with a huge mess to clean up at the Frosty Palace. Jane finds Olivia's Pink Lady's jacket on her porch when she makes it home, and Olivia makes another horrible decision and heads over to Mr. Daniel's place, and that is how the episode ends. So like I said, a lot goes down in this episode, and that's why whenever it's one like this, I have to have it in front of me, because it's just like, there's so much to unpack. And I have to admit, it's definitely one of the better episodes, even if some of it's kind of cringe. A lot of it might be kind of cringe, but overall there's so much drama that it's interesting, cringy or not. Forced as the musical scenes may feel or not, but the rest of it, I don't know, this is probably one of the better dramatic episodes. Yeah, I'm kind of like, there's only 2 episodes left, where all could this go? I mean, given Grease happened, and this is like the precursor to Grease, and the Pink Ladies were still a thing then. Clearly, the Pink Ladies couldn't have broken up. So what is going to happen in the last 2 episodes? I don't know. But I'm very intrigued now. Like I said, for as much of a shit show as a lot of this show has been, this is one of the better moments. And I'm kind of already tempted to be like, I know I've been spacing these out a week apart, sometimes 2 weeks. I think a few maybe even 3. I'm very tempted to just barrel into the next one because I need to know what happens. I really, really want to know what happens next. So anyway. Yeah, that's what all you missed on episode 8 if you haven't seen it yet. It's not on Max or Paramount Plus, whichever one it was on. It's not on it anymore, so, I mean, you have to go to other sites, although I think there are a couple sites that are now allowing you to buy the episodes. So, I mean, it's an improvement, because they weren't allowing that before, last I knew. So, at least it's not lost media at this point. It's still around in some way, shape, or form, which is good, because I felt really bad for the actors and actresses that were in this initially, thinking they did all that for this show to be pulled in, what, like a month or 2? That's so wrong. But, okay, it's still out there in some capacity. That makes me feel better. So, anyway. Yeah, that's it for this one, guys. So, we'll see where the last 2 episodes go. I'm very curious to see where it goes. But I did enjoy this one a lot. So, anywho. That's it. So you guys know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload. Leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more. It's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel, you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Anyway, guys, until next time, see ya.